Hi Clocky. I'm just going to start at the beginning, which is a very good place to start. So, on with description about Sunshine House. I remember the first day I went there, it would have been the middle of 55, I was 4 at the time. We had to get a train from Leigh to Wigan and then on to Southport. And the bits I remember of the day, I remember my mum and dad were with me, but I don't remember much about what my mum was doing. My dad showed me around this room. Now, our schoolroom was not too big really. They used to have a board on the wall, and they hung little things like alligators, brushes, combs, everything beginning with A, B, C, and they put the little braille letter at the side so you could learn your alphabet in that way, because I'd never seen braille before. And very low chairs, because I was quite tall really, and I found these chairs quite low. They had these little rubber things on the bottom so they wouldn't slide about. And then there were a stack of tables, obviously you had your own tables for doing stuff. A stack of tables and an old wind-up kind of gramophone, which we used to hear Tubby the Tuber and Noddy and stuff. Listen with Mother on the radio, lying on our canvas stretchers. So we were in the schoolroom for the older people, the younger ones were about from 3 to 4 maybe. There was a veranda outside. I think you could go onto the veranda where you're upstairs or down, forget exactly. Now outside there were a few outbuildings. One was a laundry. 2 was like a toy shed where they kept bikes, prams, and all these like pedal cars you could get. And I always wanted to get the bikes or the pedal cars, and I was talking to a mate of mine who I've not spoken to for years recently, and he said, I remember you well, falling off your bike, and you had to go for your head stitch. That's probably why I lost off my brain. So when you first go there, your mum and dad looking around, and they must have thought, my God, there's quite a bit of ground space there. How the hell are people going to find their way when they can't see? But it's amazing how you do. You get, when you're young, many people develop what you call echolocation. This is when you can hear things as you pass them. It's like when you come to the end of a wall, you know, because the sound is empty, and now when you're walking near that wall, you can hear the echo of that wall, or even a bush shelter, or even if you're approaching steps, and now these are up steps, if you approach a flight of steps, you can tell you come into these steps. Not so much for the down steps, so I've had a few escapes falling down steps, believe me. Echolocation is very handy, but you do tend to lose it as you get older. Because my left ear is now malfunctioning quite a bit, I can't really hear the echolocation through the left ear. So the right ear is trying to do a job of 2 ears, and it doesn't always work very well in that respect. Now, the building actually must have been finished off in about 53, I would imagine. First students went in 54, and it was a pretty well designed building, you know, of its time. The walls inside where you came to a corner, they were rounded off pretty well, so, you know, and there was a dining room, the playroom, the office. This is downstairs. Now, as you came to the bottom of the staircase, you turned, I think it was left. Imagine yourself facing the other way. The gate to stop you going down these stairs, which I tried to get over but couldn't, that took you down to the staff quarters where all we used to call them nurses, but they were carers really. They had premises down there, sitting room and stuff. I don't know much about what was down there. I think they must have had the kitchens down there, where I used to send up the dumb waste. I was always pressing the buttons and getting told off. I thought I could hide, but they always used to suss me out. Upstairs we had rooms for about 4 or 6. I was in the blue room I think, because they all had different colour deco. Blue, green, sand, flame. Then there was an isolation, if anyone got sick, an isolation sort of room. Then there was a toddler's room with all the littlies in cots. There was a duty room where the staff on nights could keep an eye out. And I, like an idiot at 4 years old, I could hear this music and I thought, wow, that's music from the fairground. I mean, the fairground was ages away, but I didn't realise at the time that I was being stupid. And it was a duty room nurses listening to the radio. I think they must have Radio Luxembourg on, because they had all modern stuff and you didn't get that on Radio 2. Well, which wasn't Radio 2 then, was it? Now, we had a bathroom. It was kind of, I seem to remember it was on a different level. I don't remember anything else being on that floor, actually, where the main bathroom was. There was a flat for the head, Mrs. Scott. She was fine. She was very posh, but she wasn't a snob. She was married to a Polish bloke who had a really nasty temper, he did, and I think he cut the grass and kept the grounds maybe in order and stuff like that. So in the main part of the building downstairs, there was also a kind of cloakroom where you could put your coats and that, and there were toilets and wash basins, stuff like that. They were a pretty good bunch, the staff. They treated us really well. There must have been times when I got on everyone's nerves, and they must have given me a roasting, but I don't really remember much. I woke up in somebody else's bed one morning, actually, but remember, I was only 4 years old. I must have gone to the bathroom and come back and just been bleary-eyed. Not that that would have made much difference, but got in this bed and I didn't even realise I was lying near somebody. So the helper came in. Irene, what are you in Paul Leake's bed? Oh, dear me. Now, outside, we had one of these, we used to call it a scrambling net. It was like one of these ropey things, and you used to get a foothold and you could climb up there. That was affixed to a wall. And climbing frame, that was made of, how can I say, you know what I mean when I say scaffoldy type stuff. You could climb up there, and there was an orchard as well, and I don't quite remember where that was now, and a few swings, which, they'd have been long gone many years ago. Some of those little chair swings for the littlies, and then ordinary ones for us. And we did have an old concrete paddling pool. Now, that may have been the one that you saw, but that could have been rebuilt. I don't really know, because they had all kinds of things since I left, like therapy rooms. And as I said in my email, there were stuff on the walls to tell you which room you were near. Well, we never had that, because we used to bum around, but we were more able than the people who were there in the latter days, There were some lovely comments from one of the staff members, I think it was the head, who was talking about when the school was about to close. He was very complimentary and very, very upset because they were leaving. And I must admit, Clarky, that video of yours, it was quite descriptive, but I found it very upsetting because, I imagine the place as it used to be, not in a derelict, foul state. And, we used to go for a walk to the beach. And as I remember, you turned left outside the gate, and the beach really was just a stone's throw. And one day, everybody went back and left me, so here was me walking along. I thought, where the devil do I go now? Because it's not very easy when you're on a beach and you don't know which way you're going. And I came across these weird, big sort of, I don't know, they looked like metal things to me. And I, in my 4 or 5 year old state, thought they were train lines, but they weren't aligned. They were just lying around, sort of on the sides. But you've got to remember that place, it was a bomb site at one time. So it makes me wonder if that was left over from then. You don't really know. I don't remember getting back to the school, but obviously somebody came to pick me up. Anyway, we used to have, on the lawn, there were a couple of summer houses, and there was this goat, they called him Gilbert, and he was tethered to a rope and then a chain or something. I think they only had these to get us used to dealing with stuff like animals and things. Anyway, whenever I went up the slope to the summer houses, this goat would always come and get me, and so I used to make a beeline for the summer houses. And then there were all sorts of flying insects on the window, and I thought, oh God, where do I go now? I just hate things flying past my face or my ears. I just can't stand it, Anyway, in the evenings sometimes, they used to bring a big metal bowl and a load of, these pods with fresh peas in. And we had to shell these peas. Nothing wrong with that. I enjoyed it really, but I ate most of the peas and I was always getting told off. So in the end, I think they said, well, Irene, you're not coming anymore. You keep eating the peas. Bubble and squeak on a Monday after Sunday's lunch, and I always used to know. Monday, I was always first in the dining room for Bubble and Squeak, and I was introduced to Marmite. When we reached sort of about 5 and a half, we used to eat off a flat plate, knife and fork, serviette with a ring, so you had to know how to roll your serviette up and put it in your ring, ordinary pot cups, not a plastic beaker, and you were expected to bring your food from the serving hatch to your table. So there's no pushing and shoving. If you did, you got a real roasting. So you had to be nice and orderly and mannerly. And when we got to the middle school, all down the drain, bloody dog dishes again and plastic cups, and I thought, this is terrible. And that was a place I really would not like to talk about. It was terrible. Big write-up in the paper not long ago, last year, beginning of the cruelty, and I can vouch for that. When we used to get taken to the dentist, the head, Mrs. Scott, she used to take us in the car, right? Now, I always seem to remember this car smelling new. It had very loud indicators, and at that time, I could tell certain cars on the road, like a Morris Minor, or was it the Mini or something, they both have similar engines, or the same one, I don't know. I'm not sure it was about, was it 2002 when the place closed down? I can't quite remember now. But it was a sad day, it really was, for that place. Now, about pianos, I'd never seen a piano before I went to Southport, and as soon as I saw a piano, I was mesmerised, and everyone got fed up of me playing these pianos, and so they decided to lock them. But yours truly knew, after investigating, that you could, if you knelt down underneath the piano and you went to the back of the board, and you could press the keys from underneath, and then I suddenly realised I could play a tune. It didn't take long. And so, Mum and Dad were alerted to this and thought, oh God, what have we let ourselves in for? And then I started playing this thing called Blue Star. I mean, we couldn't believe it. I do play reasonably well, but I'm not brilliant by it. I've got a keyboard, I love to play it, but I only managed about 5 grades at school because I didn't really get much time to do music. I had that much other stuff to do. So at the end of, when I left school, I got a job as a typist. I might send a different file, just telling you a little bit about myself so you know, and then you really will be asleep. Well, Clarky, I'm going to leave it for now because I'm approaching about 13 minutes, which means that it should still fit onto an email. Well, an attachment at least, which makes it easy for everybody. So, let me know what you think, and I'll see you in a bit.